Satnam, beautiful sovereign woman, and welcome to the Sovereign Woman Movement Show, where today we're going to be talking about the hero's journey. Satnam and welcome. I am Jyotiraji Kaur and I teach women how to heal their body, mind, and spirit and awaken spiritually. So welcome and thank you so much for being here. I hope you like that little intro. That little jingle always makes me dance and just gets me pumped up for what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go ahead and share this feed over to my friends. So let me just do that before we actually start, because today is going to be an important day for us to really get to know each other intimately. Today, I'll be able to really share with you my own specific hero's journey and also the general hero's journey that we all take in this world. And the intention here specifically is to be able to then bring some awareness, bring some light into perhaps what you may be going through right now emotionally, what you may be going through spiritually, what you may even be going through physically. So welcome and thank you so much for being here, shared and ready to go. So I wanted to reintroduce myself because I know that there's a lot of new followers here on my business page, and there's a lot more that I've been sharing lately that perhaps you're wondering, who exactly are you? Are you Jyotiraji Kaur? Are you Veronica Berrigan? And how did you get here? And what exactly is it that you do? And today I wanted to really intimately dive deep into this subject matter and to share with you a little bit about my life, a little bit about how quickly in the last 2 years my life completely was transformed, and how I came about to teaching other women how to awaken spiritually and actually themselves learn how to self-heal body, mind, and spirit. And so many of you may not know that I actually, for a long time, struggled with an addiction to alcohol. I was actually very successful, to the outside world. I was in a business of 15 years as a real estate broker, owned my company, was pretty much a leader within my industry, served in several nonprofit organizations, opened nonprofit organizations, started them, served in leadership positions. I was involved in lobbying in Washington, D.C. So to the outside world, my life looked like I was a complete, success story. But truly inside within me, I was struggling a lot emotionally. I had a lot of anxiety, overwhelmment. I had also just this deep feeling like just that I wasn't good enough and that I had to continue to accomplish more and more and more in order to be happy. And what I did was that I used to actually process my emotions with alcohol, and alcohol was a way of me dealing with life, and it just gave me this fake energy, this fake power that truly without it, I felt lost and I felt broken. And in 2015, I had been already involved in some holistic practices like meditation and yoga. I've always really been deeply spiritual and studying the metaphysics and all the different spiritual traditions of the world, but not really consistent with my practices. But in 2015, something happened within me that I later really researched and understood as a kundalini awakening, which is kundalini is coiled up energy. That's really what it is. And a lot of people are probably going through this, and because Western medicine really doesn't understand it and doesn't really know how to treat it, a lot of people are left feeling that they're having a major psychosis, or that something inherently will always be wrong with them, when in essence these are spiritual emergencies. These are where our soul is trying to really wake us up. And that's really what was happening to me in 2015. And when that started to happen to me, I have a son who I consider to be my mentor himself, because he's a wise soul. My husband and I have been married for almost 23 years this year. And him and I got pregnant when I was really young. I had him when I was only 17 years old, but he's always been this old soul and very connected to earth and Mother Nature. And he started to talk to me about holistic alternative medicine and about healing, mental instabilities. Because although, I had, I didn't really have per se like a really serious physical disease. It was all having to do with the mind. And I didn't trust in a pill. I knew that there was no way there could be a pill that could heal me. And that's when my son started to talk to me about shamanic healings and about plant medicine, mother ayahuasca, which has been used in indigenous tribes for hundreds of years for healing, for it's like a surgery of the soul, really, of really getting to the root cause of why we're having these mental instabilities, why we don't feel good enough, why we're not, fully feeling whole and complete. And when he talked to me about this, it was almost like everything in the world moved for us to actually travel to the Peruvian jungle and to work with plant medicines. And I say we because I made the decision after a lot of research, and I'm talking scientific research. I actually was very, very deeply into the studies that MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, has done on psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. So there was actually a Western perception about it. So I really was I appreciated it, and I thank this organization for being able to help me understand what indigenous tribes have been doing for hundreds of years for the purposes of healing, and how they didn't even have a word for mental illness or for psychosis. What they perceived as mental instabilities was really, like I said, like a spiritual emergence, a shaman, a spiritual teacher being born. And the way they treated mental instabilities were completely different from what the West was doing. They embraced and as a village brought love to this individual and allowed the process to unfold without pushing anything, especially not pharmaceuticals, which a lot of people have been in serious danger with when they're having these types of spiritual awakenings. So I took the road less traveled, and I did, and I went to Peru for 17 days, and I worked with plant medicines myself. Brought the family because we all needed the healing. We all needed to awaken to everything that was happening. And I look back now in 2015, it was like higher consciousness. God was just preparing me, because right now a collective consciousness is going through a dark night of the soul. Everyone is. And my family and I got to experience that way before everyone else. It was just like a preparation for what we're doing today with our work and what we're doing today with our life. But I wish I could tell you that it was that Peruvian experience, that I came back from the jungle and everything was fine and dandy and I was whole, heal, and complete. But it was actually the opposite. When I came back as a real estate broker to my business, I felt lost. I was very much in my upper consciousness, my higher energetic zones, my higher triangles, which are connected to God, source, very spiritual, but I couldn't figure out how to ground myself into this planet. I couldn't figure out how to integrate everything that had happened in the Peruvian jungle, because so much happened that it was like just the beginning. It was like the plant medicine had given me the key to open up this new awareness of being, of the truth of who I am, but I still had to get up and open the door every single day. And the integration was key, and I it was so much. It was like all of my belief systems collapsed, and I was left just there, empty. And coming back was, we even had somebody in the plane who literally he was a professor for the local university, a very smart man, and he told my husband that he had a message for him, and told him that when we got back to the West, that life would get really, really interesting and difficult for us, but that our family would be stronger and more powerful to unite it together after everything. So we didn't believe him. We came back and we thought, we're feeling so good, everything's going to be amazing. But it was just so much that we didn't even know where to start. And that's, when I came back here is when I started to really deeply, get into meditation. And I asked God. I remember I was feeling there were so many bad things happening in our life that I deemed as bad, so many dark nights of the soul for 2 years happening to all of us, me, my husband, my son, my other son. It was like not until later did I understand what was happening. And so when I came back, I prayed. I said, I need help. And I knew that the help was going to have to come from within. And that's when kundalini yoga came into my life. And kundalini actually symbolizes the energy that sits coiled up at the bottom of our spine. And a lot of human beings right now, that energy is awakening in them, because this energy awakens through, yes, through holistic practices like meditation and yoga. But even if you've never done yoga and meditation, it awakens in you through tragic events, through illnesses, through, look what's happening right now in the world, mass change. And as this energy starts to awaken, if you don't know how to process the energy, which in essence, it's energy is emotions. Energy and motions are emotions. Your thoughts, your feelings are a frequency, they're a vibration that you can learn how to process, that you can learn how to control, because the mind can be your greatest companion or it could be your biggest enemy. And so as I started to integrate these holistic practices in my life, I mean, when I came back from the jungle, I was still drinking alcohol. I still couldn't quit with everything that was happening. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to heal in me. And when I started to integrate these holistic practices in my world and my life daily, along with my other spiritual practices that I was already doing, which wasn't a lot, but there were two specific things that I was consistently doing for the last 10, 12 years. That's when the hero's journey, because the hero's journey, what it really is us leaving home, which is our heart, and going on this adventure, going through the crazy turbulences and the challenges, the climb up the mountain, but then realizing that return home is back to you, back to your heart. And none of us can live in the heart because of emotional trauma, and we leave. And so my hero's journey came back to full circle as I started to heal my addiction to alcohol, which now it's gonna be 2 years in December since I stopped drinking alcohol. And truly, I wouldn't have been able to do it if I hadn't instilled a foundation to create new neural pathways in the brain. You see, traditional therapy as it relates to addiction doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because there's no integration process of creating new neural pathways in the brain. You know, we talk about our problems, we digest them, you put someone in rehab without any contact to that substance, but what about when they come back into the real life? If you haven't given them foundation to create new neural pathways in the brain, they're going to go back to their old self fast, very, very quickly. And so when I was able to really discover that in me, and when I was able to finally break myself free, I also broke myself free from my business. 15 years, I walked away from it completely about a year and a half ago to focus and to really deliver my dharma, which is to help other women heal, get to the root cause, so that these addictions, these emotional traumas, because truly when I studied and went deep into my addiction, it had to do with a lot of the emotional traumas that I had suffered and that I wasn't able to accept fully in me, because those become energy blockages in our body. And so as I started to heal myself, heal my family around me, everything started to change in my life, and I walked away from my business. And I created the methodology known as SWC. And that's SWC is what I teach inside of Satori Wellness and Spirituality. This is my virtual wellness center and community of women who are taking their power back by healing themselves holistically, body, mind, spirit, and awakening spiritually, just the way I did. And so my journey hasn't been easy. I've had several dark nights of the soul, but I did take the courageous route of facing myself, because I didn't want to be a victim anymore. And I knew that there were natural, alternative, holistic methods out there that could help me, that I didn't have to continue to repeat that mantra that a lot of women come to me repeating. I will always have this emotional trauma. I will always be this way. I will never be able to heal. Those are mantras that you keep repeating to yourself. And those mantras become consistent experiences in your life. So it all starts with you deciding that you can heal and that you will heal, and that the right people and the right methodologies will come to you. And that as this broken health system continues to crumble, you'll start to realize that all the pharmaceuticals, all that medicine that you're looking is actually within, just the way I did. So I wanted to come to you all and share this journey with all of you in hopes that if perhaps you yourself find yourself in any part of the journey, that you can find some hope and faith in knowing that out of chaos there is order, and you are an ontological engineer. Your desires are creating your reality. So if deep down you're seeking for this wholeness right now, you're seeking for this healing, then everything that is happening to you in life is happening for you so that this could actually become a reality. Trusting the process is key right now. Having techniques to learn to stabilize the nervous system and go beyond the body, the program, the ego that keeps telling us we're not worthy enough, that they exist for our own freedom. And so right now, enrollment is not open for Satori Wellness and Spirituality, but I did create a roadmap for all of you. This roadmap specifically will help you understand the hero's journey. And in this roadmap, you can actually download it by clicking on the link that I posted below. One of the pages actually goes over exactly what I just shared with you today, which is my own hero's journey as a comparison to the hero's journey that we all take in this world. You'll also be able to understand the myths and the mistakes to avoid on your own journey, because I wish somebody would have told me XYZ before I took this path on of self-healing myself, therefore healing generations before and after me. So this roadmap is completely complimentary. You can click on the comments right or on the link in the description, and it'll take you to download it today. Overall, I just want to tell you that, every time we experience, because sometimes it's more than once, the dark night of the soul, when we're going through deep emotional trauma, when we're going through change and transformation, when you learn to really, really surrender and learn to trust yourself so much that you remember who you are at every moment, that's when your sovereignty is returned to you tenfold. And that's when you become a leader in this new earth that's being birthed. And that is exactly what the Sovereign Woman movement is all about. Thank you all for sharing this beautiful journey with me. Thank you for being part of this very epic time in human consciousness. Beyond all, have faith and know that your life is here happening for you, not to you. Sat Nam, and thank you so much for being here. Namaste.